All right, we are going live with Sarah Finger in just a few moments once our Instagram behaves itself, because sometimes it gets a little bit moody. So we're going to join her. Oh, I see that you're there. Let me see if I can add you in, Sarah. And all right, we're going to make this work. Sarah Finger joining us now. We're going to chat about her new book.
Here we go. Hey!
You need to print an Instagram-friendly cover with it reversed. So it
Yes,
can read.
I know. It's like trill the in
Yes.
the.
It's such a great book. It's called Ingleva in Novela.
Exactly. Yes. Well, it's all like in the beyond duality realm anyway. So
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
So where in the world are you nowadays?
I am in South Florida now.
Okay.
I'm in Boca Raton.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
I haven't, so just a quick catch up because I haven't seen you in 100 years.
Too long.
I think it's literally been
Like a
3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like it at this point.
Yeah.
What
Exactly.
is time, right?
Yes.
And you guys moved. So you were living in Brooklyn and you moved when the pandemic pretty much started, and you're loving it there, I'm guessing.
I like it. I do. I miss New York.
Yeah.
I miss New York a lot, but I am very grateful for warm weather, sunshine, nature, trees, iguanas, geese, like stars, all of that, beach. Yeah. So I'm really, I'm weird like that. Like I love nature so much, but I also love the city. So I don't know. That's a bit of a tricky one to.
But you come back to the city. You're coming back this weekend.
I'll be there this weekend. Yeah.
So that's good. You get a little bit. You get a little bit of everything. And how is Satya adjusting? Is she settling in?
She's good.
Yeah,
she's good. She also, like, she misses her town, she misses her peace, but she's still like in such good close contact with her friends, and she's also adapting to Florida living, and she's done really well. We have a dog who she's obsessed with. She's a Russian tortoise. She's getting a couple of fish, so we have like a zoo in her room, which is fun. Apparently we both like nature a lot. So,
and I know Alan, I'm sure Alan, anywhere he goes in the world is like
Al, yes. Al, he will try, be careful. If you talk to him about Florida, he will try and talk you into moving here. He's, committed.
Yeah.
He has been since before I married him. He wanted to move down to Florida. So he's very happy. Yeah. Good. It's his happy place.
And you have so many amazing things going on. I mean, now you're the director of yoga at Chopra. I mean, what does that mean? What does that title mean?
Good question. Well, basically, I'm sort of helping to revive their yoga pillar. Their department of yoga. They have a lot of different wellness pillars. That's part of the Chopra teachings and modality. So I teach all of the yoga in their retreats when they have events, which there's only 2 more left of that to speak of. But then I'm also helping them to develop a Chopra yoga teacher training that is incorporating some of Deepak's teachings, the 7 spiritual laws of success, which is converted into the 7 spiritual laws of yoga, and also some Ayurveda. I've created a foundations program, which is sort of an evergreen, self-paced introductory program. And then just helping to bring yoga to their partner facilities and make sure that it's systematized, and that, there's a heartbeat where there's yoga.
So this book, which I will hold up now, that's the perfect combination, because that's exactly what you're doing. You're now introducing it in the book to what this partnership is evolving to. What was it like writing? Is this your first book that you've written?
It's my first book. Yeah.
Because I was actually wondering, because I was Googling and I couldn't find, I was like, she must have written books
No.
before. And I was very surprised.
No, this is my first book. And yeah, I just figured I'd jump right in and co-author it with Deepak Chopra. Why not? You know?
Of course.
So,
you're like, and next I'll take up singing with Beyonce, you know,
yes,
it's not a big deal.
that's next on my list. And then, yeah, dancing with Lady Gaga. So, you know, we have a busy future.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It has been an incredible experience.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've, as you know, we've been working together for many years.
Yeah.
And he took classes where we worked together at Ishta in the former studio. We of course have a present one now that's been relocated, but you know, I think it was a very revitalizing, sort of transformative time for him, embarking in this daily yoga practice that he became so committed to. And I think it's, you know, I think it's awakened new insights in him. I think. So I think this book is a result of his revival of his own practice, and wanting to share that. And it's really amazing, inspiring to see him feel so enthusiastic about the Yoga Sutras and this body of work, which is ancient and yet like timeless, and as relevant as ever now as it was 2,500 years ago or more. So yeah.
And I love the way the book is formatted. So he kind of takes over the first half of the book and does his section, and then you do the second. But you do reference what he mentions in the first part, so it's not like they're two separate entities. They definitely feel like they're sort of, they're connected. And I did love that about the book, because I could hear both your voices in the book.
Good.
So it was definitely, I loved that part of it.
Yeah.
What surprised you the most when you were writing this, about the process or about preparing for it? Was there something you were like, huh, that's unexpected?
I think in terms of like the process of writing this book, to be honest, and this might, I don't know if this is just like, is going to be a seemingly like cop-out answer, but truly, for my portion of what I wrote about, which was primarily asana, right? Because that is what I teach. That has been my life's work for so many years. I think it was like the ease in which that all kind of came through for me, talking about it and just like sort of embodying and feeling the medicine of each asana and what it does on us, not just like physically, but emotionally and psychologically, therapeutically. It was something that I really enjoyed doing. I think, you know, Deepak has he is so effortless in the way that he creates and manifests things. So that was also like kind of a, wait, this is happening, and just kind of slowing down the process sometimes and feeling like this is real and savoring that experience. But it felt in an odd way very effortless. And I kept, and I don't want to sound in any way like arrogance saying that. It wasn't that. It was more like it felt like something that was ready to be shared, and to maybe come through. And so that was sort of the experience. And
I love that, and I love how he also structured the first part of the book. It's almost like a how-to, you know, or like a recipe, like, you know, it's like, I feel like, I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I speak to a lot of my friends about this. Time feels a bit more challenging lately. I think everyone's a little more uneasy. Personally, I feel it, and a lot of my friends and my community around me. So this book, I like how it just breaks it down. Like, okay, step one, because sometimes it can feel overwhelming. And as much as we want to be living in our light and living truthful and joyfully, sometimes it's challenging, you know, and just having sort of a moment to be like, okay, just break things down
Yeah.
easy and just try it this way.
Try it
It's a
this
relief.
way. And also, like, what I thought was sort of revolutionary, which it seems so simple, was that like the entire translation and sharing of it is all in English. And
Mm,
there is such a sacredness
mm,
to the language of Sanskrit that
mm,
cannot be replaced. But at the same time, I feel sometimes that it can almost create a barrier for
mm,
people that maybe need or are in a place where they could really be served with the gifts of the sutras,
right,
but aren't quite ready to take that hurdle past the foreign language barrier.
right.
So I love that in that simplicity, the sort of
Yeah,
sharing in a way that is a little bit more accessible for a greater mass of people, maybe
yeah.
who have not experienced the practice before, or the philosophical aspect of it even.
So
Yeah.
would you describe this, because for me it did feel this way, that it is kind of a beginner's book. I mean, we're all beginners in a way,
Mm-hmm.
but anyone,
Yes.
you don't need to have a deep practice. You
Yes.
could never have taken a class ever in your life. But the way you break down
Right.
at least the asana portion as well, there's photos, there's descriptions. So if you're just curious, I always say yoga curious, if you're yoga curious, you
Yeah.
could pick this up and it could be your first yoga book ever. Would you describe this as a yoga book? Like, how would you personally describe this book? Like, what category, if you
Yes.
had to?
I do. I think it's a type of a guide, or a practical guide for people who, okay, if they're interested in understanding a little bit more about the Yoga Sutras, they can reference that. And if they want like a resource to understand the yoga asana a little bit better, they can use that like as a glossary, and the poses are all categorized based on the type of posture that they are, like what part of your body it's going to affect. Is it a standing pose, a seated pose, a back bend, a twist?
Yeah.
So they're all kind of categorized and organized together in that way. And then there are aspects, subtle body aspects, because of course, my background in Ishta is a lot of integration of that. So there is some integration of the chakras and the vayus. So I feel like you can enter it wherever you are. And if your
Right.
experience is much more in wanting to understand what are the physical benefits of it, you'll get that. But
Right.
if you also want to go a little bit deeper with the poses, if you're a teacher or a more seasoned practitioner, you'll get that as well. So I hope it's helpful in all different levels to all different ranges of student, teacher alike.
And it's perfect when you develop the teacher training program. It's almost like it's the first book that you could read. So it's a perfect alignment
Yeah.
of everything.
Yeah,
Has
exactly.
your personal practice changed a lot in the last year or so? Have you found that it's changed?
It has
Yeah.
changed, Yana. It's like, it's funny because there's a part of my practice which is very sort of routine,
Mm.
where I kind of sometimes repeat a lot of a similar sequence. But I find that I think it is medicine, in a certain extent. The
Yeah.
asanas are, and so you can, every morning, I do my practice every morning. It is part of my, ritual, my daily routine. So it will shift a little bit depending on how I feel and what the day is like. But as one ages, like your body changes, and you have to sort of stay present
Yeah.
to that. And finding, I really, part of what I think in the teacher training program and in this, I think part of what my mission and I don't know, my desire in sharing this is to help people feel a home inside themselves, a home inside your
Yeah.
body, wherever you are and whatever is arising for you, to feel like you have a home for that feeling or that sensation. And so I think that intimacy and connection has strengthened for me. Yeah. Especially with all the changes that have happened, you know, in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, most people that I speak to, it surprised me as well, you know, the way everything has changed too, and even where I practice and how I practice and how often. And as someone, I haven't been practicing as long as you, but in the time that I have, I've already noticed the change, and it's fascinating to me that and I love that. I've never described it as up to other people as medicine, but it is medicine, and sometimes you need this amount, and sometimes you need a little bit more, and sometimes you'll, you know, take a little bit less, but that's the perfect way of describing it. But I'll be honest, some days I don't take any medicine at all, but I'm always thinking.
Exactly. But sometimes you have that reminder in you. And so it's like, you know, things linger, the asanas, they linger in your subtle body, you know? So yes, coming back to remember is useful, but, you know, having some kind of regularity, even if it's like once or twice a week, the body remembers there's an intelligence there that you can come back to and hold on to for a little while. So, you know, it's not that it has to be a daily practice for everybody or else you're doomed. But I think, you know, knowing that it's there and that you have that, because you're with your body at all times. So, there's little things we can do, like access the technology of our bodies and come into deep transformation.
And you're right, it only does take a few minutes a day. And that's something that during the pandemic really became a reality for me. If I could just sit for 5 minutes, at first I fought it a lot. I said, no, it has to be this way. It has to look like this. But those options weren't available anymore. So you really had to be like, okay, is it no yoga or 5 minutes of yoga? And you know what? 5 minutes was great. It was enough for that time. And thank goodness.
Like, do a down dog, you know, and in the book, you'll see like why one pose has so much, you know, impact and effects on you. It's, you know, your physical, your energetic, your emotional body. It's all integrated. And our bodies are they're just so intelligent, and they're, I think the more we can just take that time to feel, you know, listen to it, just listen, feel, you know, a sort of conversation with the body, like what's going on today? Where are we feeling, you know, tension or vulnerability? It's a good practice.
I love one of the things that he does mention in the beginning is that this light it's our birthright. It's our natural state of being, really. And anything else is sort of a, how does he describe it? It's like clouds in the way, you know, but your core and your deep sense is this light. For you personally, when you have moments that are more challenging, how do you remind yourself of that? You know, do you ever stray? Because, you know, there is contrast in life. There's always a little bit of, you know, everything. But what's the first thing that you'll do when something comes up that you're like, that's unexpected? Not maybe what I wanted. What would your first step be in that situation?
Yeah, it's such a good question. I mean, I think first is to like feel it, you know, like let it come up. Don't fight it, you know, because that act of there's medicine there, you know, there's wisdom there in the disharmony or the challenge or the, you know, whatever it is that feels not aligned, is something that we need to give a home to. You know, it's like this practice we have of rejecting what we're feeling, rejecting our thoughts, rejecting this, rejecting that. It's it furthers a duality, right? And almost like a sense of aggression, you know, which is the opposite of yoga, and the opposite of, like, you know, I think what we're trying to share in this book, which is living in the light. It's like, so first is let it arise. Don't reject it or judge it or try and change it. And then, like you said, that practice of questioning, or, you know, I've been doing this thing a lot lately where, like, I think because I've heard so much about the concept of parenting yourself, and this practice of, like, kind of creating a voice for yourself, like, and just like you said, oh, this is arising again, or you know what, you're going to be okay. Like, you got this. You're going to be okay. And the more you develop, and not just around those things when things get hard, but when things are going well, to also have that voice like, you did a great job. Like, well done. You know what I mean? Like, we would say to, like, I would say to my daughter, just so kind of developing that voice of validation.
And I love that you bring that up, because I do think that's an important thing to remember. My mom does it to me all the time still.
Your mom.
And I'm
How
a
is
proud
she?
woman.
I know.
But it's true. I mean, sometimes you need to, like they say, take the win, you know, acknowledge it's a great moment. And when it's not a great moment, acknowledge that it's not a great moment. You know? Like, that's okay.
Exactly. And we don't have to be sort of in this space of, you know, bliss. So we have a misunderstanding of what bliss is, and bliss is really just be in contact with your soul at all times. And when you're in contact with your soul at all times, you can't ever do wrong. Like, you can't be wrong. There is no wrong, right? There's only learning. There's only understanding better. That's what the light is. It's like shining a light on something that maybe we didn't know before. So yeah, I love that. And I love your mom as well.
I know, she loves you guys too.
Her.
So one last question. If you, this is kind of a very vague question. If you hadn't found yoga in your life, what would you imagine you would be doing? Like, I mean, you had this beautiful path. Like, what do you think Sarah in the alternate universe, what does she do?
Gosh, that's such a good question. I love your questions. You're such a good interviewer. My goodness, you're so gifted. I think that I would, I know very clear, because I did have this like sliding doors moment. I lived in Taiwan for 3 years. I worked with small children, and I really thought I would come back and be a school teacher. Like, I thought that I would be in elementary education, because I loved working with children. It like lit me up, you know, my heart, and I loved being in that elementary school setting. It felt, and I remember, like, I had returned back from living overseas for 3 years, and I knew I wanted to get certified in teacher training. It was like 20 years ago. And, but at the same time, I was working like a day job in a local elementary school, and I had gotten a few opportunities to teach yoga. And it was sort of like I was on that precipice where I could either make that leap of faith to teaching yoga full time, or I could decide to commit and invest in the elementary education path. And I thought to myself, if I don't teach yoga, how would I feel? Like, would I be able to feel what I feel when I do that? And it was like a clear no. It was like, no, you're not going to be able to feel this sense, or not that I wouldn't be able to, but that sense of fullness inside of myself that I get when I'm teaching. I didn't sense that I would feel that. But yeah, I think that that's what I would be doing. I would be teaching children, probably. I love
that. Maybe one day in the future it'll come back full circle again.
No, I hope so, because it is pure joy for me. When I have the opportunity to be around them, their lights.
It's amazing. And I think it's important too, when we're faced with these decisions in life, as we are, you know, to take that moment and to just kind of say, okay, which one's going to work best for me, and just feel it in your body and see which one evokes that response that you are more drawn to. And I think this is something we used to talk about in our retreats too, as well, with creativity, just taking that moment of silence to then allow the information to download for you. You know, whether it's making an important decision, looking for that creative inspiration that you're looking for, or maybe just that moment of blissful peace, whatever it is you need in that moment. So I love it. And I always loved working with you guys because of those offerings that you shared. So now it's in the book.
And we've loved working with you and the entire community at Yoga Love Magazine. I mean, what you do is so special. And it really, like, it was that community as well as, you know, my Ishta community and like those connections that I felt so sad leaving, you know, when I left New York. I was like, this is really special. But it's so nice to be able to connect in this way. And, you know, I know we'll collaborate more down the road. And it's nice to be able to come back. I'll be back in New York this weekend. So if you're in New York, come join us.
Amazing, amazing. So I know you have a lot of things coming up. You'll be in New York this weekend for anyone that wants to see Sarah at Ishta. And you're going to be at Yoga Expo as well in March, I believe,
That's
right?
Right. Yes.
We're a media partner.
Yes.
What are you going to be teaching? What's your class going to be at the Expo?
At the Expo, it's like a 50-minute session where I'm going to integrate some of the Kriyas, like the Ishta Kriyas that we share of bringing, you know, light in and charging it into your body. So it will be sort of an embodied practice. I'll talk a little bit about the book. And I hope to do some book signings as well there. So
exciting.
Yeah.
So you can catch Sarah in Florida, in New York City, and on your website, I'm sure you're going to list all your events that are coming up. Are there plans for a tour for the book or any more events for the book coming up?
Yeah, so we have some things lined up in Florida, and I, you know, a couple of things coming up in Arizona, but I think Deepak and I are pretty much, we have something in Lake Nona and then something else here in South Florida. So just a couple of events around here, and then the rest is sort of like little trips that I'm taking here and there. So yeah.
And I'll be in Sedona as well. So I will see you in Sedona. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Wonderful. Yeah. So there's lots of events coming up, lots of opportunities to share and to be together in person, which I'm really looking forward to.
I know. It's so nice after so long. It's really,
it really is incomparable. Like it's not, you can't replace that feeling of being together in person with people in community, in breath, you know, it's very powerful.
Sarah, thank you so much. And congratulations on the book and all the amazing things happening. And if I don't see you in New York, I will see you at the Sedona Yoga Festival in April. I don't even know the date.
Yes,
in April.
The last weekend of April.
Yeah. Will Alan be there as well?
Well, and Satya.
Yep. Oh my goodness!
The whole family will be there. So
amazing!
We're so looking forward to seeing you.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, and thank you so much for the book. It's like I said, it's if you're a beginner, if you're advanced, if you are just curious about anything, check out the new book. It is available on Amazon now. And thank you. Actually, you inspired us. We're going to start on our website a book club section. So we'll feature the book, and this interview will transcribe it, so that people, if they're curious and they want books to read and they just want to learn more, we're going to share these on our website probably in about a month or so. So yours will be the first book on there.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your support as always. I love you so much and I'm so grateful.
Have a great one. Take care.
You too. Bye.